Hey, Michael, Grant Putnam here, Putnam Landscaping. Just wanted to go through with the design and quote that we discussed about a week ago. So first thing is I want to talk a little bit about the elevations. So when I was at your house, I have something called a laser level. It allows me to essentially figure out different elevations on your property, and we need that to be able to figure out how tall the walls would be and how high the patio would be elevated off the ground, right? So I took my laser level and I used the flat platform of the current wooden deck as my reference point. And when you go down to this corner, which is 20 feet off the house, you're going to end up being roughly 72 inches off the ground. The deck is about 40 inches off the ground level over here, closer to the house. Okay, so what we do is we need a 1/4 inch per foot for the deck to slope away from the house. So in that situation, you're going to have about 5 inches of slope with the patio. The patio is going to be built ground level, closer to the house, and then it's going to pitch, like I said, a 1/4 inch per foot going away. So we're talking 72 inches less 48 inches, because the whole patio is going to shift down 48 inches. Okay, less 5 inches the pitch, right? And that's going to give us, let's see here, 72 minus 48 minus 5, 19 inches. Okay, that means that the patio would be built currently 19 inches above the ground. But what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up building up the grade roughly 5 inches. Let me just get this screen back here. Roughly 5 inches in this area. So by doing that, by building up the grade 5 inches here, then we're going to have the outside face of the wall built 14 inches below the level of the patio. The level of the sitting wall, which is this structure here, here, and here, the top of the wall is 20 inches above the patio. So if we do 20 inches plus 14 inches, that gives us the exterior of the wall being here about 34 inches high, which is listed on the design. All right, so again, we're going to raise the grade about 5 inches here, okay, with dirt right up against the wall. All right, the next elevation point was here in the center of the patio, and that was a 75-inch drop, and over here was 89-inch drop. So what we end up having to do is we're going to end up having 2 risers or 2 steps for that 14 inches that we talked about. That's why the wall is 34 inches tall on the outside face and only 20 inches tall on the inside face. These 2 risers, these 2 steps, are going to make up that 14-inch difference, which is why, again, the wall is 34 inches high on the outside and only 20 inch on the inside. All right, which means that in this area, if you run the calculations, you're going to end up having the wall built, the bottom of the wall, when it's 34 inches high, it's going to require us using the excavated dirt and building the excavated dirt and raising the grade roughly 22 inches in that corner. All right, this way, when you're standing here in the lawn, you're looking at the sitting wall, it's 34 inches high along this whole back border on the outside face of the wall. That's important aesthetically. Plus, it makes it more cost effective when you're building the wall because you're building less square feet. So the idea is excavate this dirt, utilize a lot of this dirt, build up the grade behind and around it, okay? So again, these are the steps. These steps make up 1/3 of the linear length, so it's about a 10.5 foot wide or 10.5 foot long steps. Rather than going with the typical 12-inch treads, which is like the step material you're standing on top of, I suggest going with 15-inch. All right, so we go 15-inch treads, 2 risers. That gets us from the grass level up to the patio level. Okay, and because we're building all this above grade, we're going to have to bring in a lot of extra process material, which is the compacted material you put underneath the patio. All right, and then this again is all sitting wall, going this way and then going this way. So we have an opening here to walk. If you're walking along this side of the house, You can walk through this area. It's about 3.5 feet wide. Another opening here, roughly 4 feet wide, to walk on this direction. The steps, you're going to need a platform when you step out of the door because the door is right there. So you're going to have this platform that's going to be at the same level as the current deck, and then 6 steps that are going to take us from this platform down to the level of the patio. All right, each step would have to be 8 inches tall, which is the maximum amount of height that are permitted for, when building steps. Okay, I'm not sure if you're actually you might have to, by code, you'd have to make sure. I believe this is 8 inches too. That's something that the carpenter is going to have to check on. So it's something to make a note on, is making sure that it passes code, because you're going to end up having to get a permit for this step structure. The patio you could probably do without. And that's the other reason why I wanted to have the outside of the wall only 32 inches high, because then in that situation you're not above 3 feet, so this whole patio structure won't count as coverage. All right. So that's kind of the idea with the elevations, okay? So you'll be able to walk flat onto patio. There's no step here. Walk flat on this way, flat off that way, 2 steps coming down. And then these would act as sitting walls, so you could place a glass of wine or sit on top of it if you're having a lot of people over for a party. But also act as a functional retaining wall too, because you're going to need to be built above grade due to the slope in the backyard, okay? I spent the extra time. I said, you know what? If I'm gonna do this, spend the time to think about this, I might as well end up putting in some plantings and screening. There's a house over here where the pen is located, so I have screening trees, green giant arborvitaes, which grow very columnar in nature. They're deer resistant. It's going to require you removing all the trees along your property line now, ripping out the stumps. So that tree work is something you're going to have to get an estimate on. I can give you a couple guys that we typically use on a weekly basis. It's something we don't do in-house, but again, we can recommend someone to do it. And the advantage is you do it all at once, then you're not going to have double costs as far as fixing the lawn twice, fixing the irrigation twice. So it might make sense to add these plantings in exterior at the same phase, because you won't be double spending. You'll be more efficient as far as costs go. All right, I have the dimensions of the patio here, you'll notice listed. If you're going to add lights, I would do brick lights, which are built into the face of the wall. And on the interior of the wall, so I'd do 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and then 3 on this wall. Then I would also do brick lights within the risers of the 2 steps. So you'll notice I have that listed on the quote. When you drop this patio down, you're going to have a lot of foundation exposed. So one idea is, if you wanted to, you could have a siding company put the siding down further on the house. The other idea, which I have listed here, is just putting in some evergreen boxwoods along this side, and that would obviously help masking or screen out the concrete foundation of the house. When you build the deck, I would say you're going to want to put some sort of lattice going underneath this window, which is actually built above the ground. This is all one window structure. And then around the deck, I would also end up putting in, again, this lattice. So this way you can't see through there and see through the foundation. I would consider putting in like an invisible door, so you can use this as storage. We've done that before in other projects. And then to kind of soften this larger structure, you'll notice I listed putting in perhaps some rectangular pots with annuals running along the side of the steps to soften the structure, so when you're entertaining out here, you're not just looking at the side of the steps or the side of the lattice. Okay. So that's it. So I'll shoot this over to you with the estimate, and we'll take it from there. Thanks.